Welcome to the Spicy AI podcast, Control+Disrupt. I'm Mark Harrison.
And I'm Joanna Miller. In this series, we'll dive into the world of AI with a special focus on credit, order to cash, and the realities leaders face.
We're here to ask the spicy questions others avoid, cutting through the hype, challenging assumptions, and exposing where AI helps and where it hurts. So buckle up, because this isn't just another AI podcast. It's bold, it's sharp, and yes, it comes with a Scoville rating. What's on the menu today, Joanna?
Today, we are tasting modernization without cloud migration.
Okay, modernization without migration. So what do we mean by that?
Today, you can keep your SAP or Oracle stable and build around it with the lightweight cloud native layers. For example, Snowflake for analytics or AWS Lambda for automating small repetitive workflows. So the real power comes from improving flow, not from rebuilding infrastructure. It is about fixing the friction, not rebuilding the entire foundation.
Okay. All right, let's look at perhaps a few examples then. As always, within shared services or within the credit area, there's a lot of routine work. So what areas do you think could be quickly automated?
So in finance, we still spend many hours every day entering data from invoices, purchase orders, or contracts. And here, tools like AWS Extract or Azure Form Recognizer can handle those tasks, reading the documents, extracting the data, and sending it directly into the ERP. That's the area where we can get help.
Okay, and from the credit control side of things, then I would say something like predicting cash flow would also be in this kind of zone, yeah?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Cash forecasting is still very often manual part of finance. Teams work on the spreadsheet and instinct, not the real insight. But there are cloud tools like, for example, Amazon Forecast or BigQuery ML that can analyze the payment history for you, identify patterns, who tends to pay late, who delays, how seasonal cycles impact liquidity. And when you feed that intelligence back into your credit and collection strategy, your forecasting becomes proactive. Thanks to that, you're not reacting to late payments, but preventing them.
Okay. So some of this, before we go on to the next bit, then this is pretty basic stuff though, right? What we're talking about here is nothing essentially groundbreaking, right? These are basics that should have been in place for a long time anyway. It's just as we stand on this threshold of new technology, there's opportunities to really focus on, building the structure from the ground up.
Yeah, they should be, but they are not in many cases. So, especially in large companies, when you have not only one ERP, but multiple ERPs, and actually consolidation of the data is many times still a challenge. And like migration to one ERP, cloud-based ERP from all that legacy systems is the operation that takes years. On the other side, like the smaller companies, most probably and many times cannot afford the modern cloud tools, but can afford pay-as-you-go cloud modular solutions.
Some of what we're talking about here is like the S/4HANA transition, right? Where
For example,
companies are taking years and basically not thinking they can do essential operational stuff at the same time. I get
exactly.
that's probably the most real time example. Yeah, some companies are saying S4 HANA, we're not even going to think about AP or AR or anything till 2028, and that means that the essential operational overviews and insights are going to be ignored because this one project is taking basically sucking the whole sort of focus and attention and life into one area.
And the budget.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So yeah, and I've seen this myself. A lot of companies, S4 HANA, that's it, nothing else. Whereas
Yeah,
you need to be looking at the minutiae of your data right now. So hence you have two separate things going on there. Yeah, I'm with you. Oh,
exactly. And that's competitive. If you are waiting until you move everything to cloud, you are losing the momentum, you are losing the competitive advantage. And actually, like using modular cloud solutions is very much cost effective because you can pay as you use it, not for the continued service.
these days you can rattle up a lot of late payments or bad debts if you haven't got your eye on the ball with high detail on the critical things on our side, particularly late paying customers and so on. So and as it's a very volatile world right now, we've got to be looking at our customers even more detail than ever before. Okay, so
Yeah.
I think there's also a number of bottlenecks, particularly in the shared service as well. What would you? Yeah, let's just drill into a couple of the bottlenecks, the typical bottlenecks then that we have in all business, but particularly in shared services.
Yeah. So one of the bottlenecks is, for example, the number of emails we are dealing daily in shared services. So this is like thousands of emails from invoice requests to payment confirmations. And majority of it still relies on people scanning them manually and routing. Even though we have multiple ERPs or we are not in cloud, we can use some modular solution like Azure Language Service or OpenAI API and use natural language processing to classify those messages instantly and route them to the right team. So this is a small shift, but actually can optimize routing, improve efficiency by 80%. And the real gain is to get the people's time back to focus on actions that bring in value. So similar is phone collection. So this is also like a huge workload on agent sides, especially the B2C environment. This is also the opportunity to optimize, even though you do not have, even without buying the complex or expensive solutions with many features that you don't need. For example, high radius that not many can afford, and utilize Amazon Connect or Dialogflow CX to handle outbound reminders and payment status calls automatically in any language you want and 24 hours.
Yeah, yeah, and then I think
That's the value.
a lot of this, a lot of this kind of really comes down to people understanding what's available and what's out there and
Mm.
looking at it in a much more holistic view. Like we were saying just now, there's a fixed mindset that the ERP is everything. And what we're talking about here is, yeah, you need an ERP to gather all the data, but there's a lot of other solutions that can be big ones, big investment
Mhm.
side of the ERP. Or as you said, it could be just a single module for a certain function, which is what we're really talking about here. Saying what is it you actually really want? What is urgent right now? And where's a quick and low cost solution?
And many companies doesn't know that there is such a possibility. So everyone is focusing on that, let's say, famous kind of tools that like Hierarchy, Serala, Esker, etc., that provide more feature many times that we need and on the high price because you are paying for entire service and you are not paying in a module pay as you go, as it is available directly in the cloud offer.
I'm with that. And there are quite a few service providers now, particularly I think in the credit side of the business, that are offering these kind of solutions we're talking about. And they can be up and running in days. We're not talking months or even years in some cases to implement. These can be up and running in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the whole crux of what we're talking about here today. And I think extending that along, then also we can a lot of the cost savings can still be made when you got your predictive analytics or a better overview of your data and analyzing it. we can also be looking at scaling without headcount increase as well.
Yeah, so this is probably we can use example of the phone collection again because this can be seasonal as well. And there are the moments for customer service operations. So like a business is seasonal, so there are peaks in a certain period of time. In those situations, we have a lot of inbound queries, a lot of inbound calls, and we should also do a lot more of outbound calls. And normally or standard, let's say, and also like out of date already solution is to make our employees to work overtime, or we hire temporary resources, or temporary resources, maybe that requires training. So this is very much overwhelming. And instead of that, we could simply use any modular cloud feature, or NLP features, or voice functions to overcome the seasonality peaks.
The agentic AI, yeah, but with the agents that actually talk as well, talking bots to some degree. Yeah.
Yes, they're voice agents.
Yeah, yeah, which I personally support. I know it's not fully formed yet. I've been on the end of this last week with a bot that was calling me, and there was work to be done on the response, shall we say? But the technology is there, and I agree. I think, and as you said, in the B2C space, where you've got a high volume of low value and often single transactions, I think very much that's the route to go, right? And yeah, then you don't have to have more people or outsource to a third party or something like that.
Exactly. So you can just pick one model that you need at the time. So
Yeah, that's fine. I think so. What we're to conclude on today's session, we're looking at we're advocating insights without risk, and the risk being the cost investment. It can be low cost, but with substantial increase in insights and analytics. Is that a fair way, you think, to wrap up today's session?
yeah, I think so, because this is like optimizing the operations is not about huge revolutions many times or a huge investment. This is about fixing the friction you have. Target this friction. You don't need to change entire world and spend millions to optimize your work. You can use the modular functionalities that exist in any cloud environment. Is it AWS? Is it Azure? Is it Google? So you can there is a shelf full of goods. You just
Yeah.
need to pick
And they
what you need at the very moment. No exaggerated investment, no total revolution.
And they don't have to be the be all and end all. You're not investing in something that you say, this has to work. And it is one thing. What do we need to know? We need to know who's our late payers. We need to be able to move our cash allocation better through reading emails, remittance advices, that kind of thing. So just focusing on the two or three critical things mean you can
Yes,
have a much smaller, much quicker, much slicker, much lower cost investment.
that's the case.
Yeah, and you can build
That's the
either build up from there, or if the provider doesn't work, we get another provider. This isn't a life-changing investment. That's the driver of what we're talking about here. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And
Okay.
we have the functionality that we need, not the set of functionalities. That is the difference between non-modular tools
Yeah.
provided by well-known providers, where we get the functionalities that we don't really need at the time and we don't use it. Here we can pick exactly what we need at
Yeah.
the very moment.
Bit by bit. Yeah. Just taking
Mhm.
one thing at a time. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Abdul.
Yes. Okay. I suppose in one way we can say that's what scaling is about. It's growing exponentially. So even with analytics, you can really taking one thing at a time. Okay. Interesting again. Thanks. Another good conversation. Thank you very much for today. I think, yeah, what I researching this today, I think what kind of came about for me was in the world of AI and all the fantastic technology that's out there, a lot of it really is still depending on knowing the basics, understanding what you got in front of you, that's been in front of you for a long time already, and understanding what you really want to do with it. Right. So again, thank you very much, everybody, for being with us. Joanna, great stuff again.
Thank you.
Time, Control, Alt, Disrupt, and keep your AI spicy.
Spicy.
Spicy.